wants to work as little as possible and make as much money as possible. And if he can round trip, double in every transaction, that's better because it's easier to negotiate with the other agent when you are the other agent, yes?
Have you ever noticed in real estate, people that are successful, and by successful I mean making a lot of money, are one of three things. Either number one, really smart, number two, really hardworking, or number three, just drop dead gorgeous. Open houses is about hard work. So here's number 1 point on open houses. Start writing this down. Number one, if you decide open house is going to be your number one method of getting leads, you need to do 40 hours a month. Okay, that translates to about 6 to 8 open houses a month. When I do open houses, it takes me about 6 to 8 open houses before I get one closed transaction. But a funny thing can happen in real estate. You can go 6, 12, 18 open houses and not get a single deal. But on the 19th one, you double end a deal and you sell their house. So that's 3 transactions. So the numbers end up averaging out. Because this is the number one most important one, right? 40 hours a month. This is your only method of prospecting. Point number 2, 20 to 25 signs. Okay, you have to put out 20 to 25 signs. People have heard me say that before. It is really true. We're baking a cake. This is the recipe. If you don't put in the right ingredients, you don't get the right result. Point number 2, 20 to 25 signs. Number 3, you focus on getting one solid appointment at the open house. A solid appointment is somebody that's meeting you at your office, or you're meeting them at their house to list their house. Point number 4, you stay focused on one person at a time. Okay, you're at this open house. There's 400 people walking through the door. You're talking to Mr. and Mrs. Smith. You don't leave them until either number 1, you're sure you're not going to get an appointment with them, or number 2, you get the appointment with them. Then you can go on to the next person. I don't care if people walk in and leave and you never say hello. And number 5, and this is really important, this kind of goes without saying, but you must be an expert in your industry, in your city, in your geographic farm where you're working. In order to be an expert, you need to tour the market at least once a week. Okay? You should be your own best client. You should be sending a daily listing alert to yourself on every change in the marketplace. New listings, price changes, withdrawals, canceled, pendings, everything. If you want to take it a step further, every time there's a pending, you call the listing agent up and they say, how many offers did you get? How much did it sell for? Can you give me an idea? And let them know, hey, I'd be happy to help you the next time I have a listing in the area. You can call me and get the same information. All right. So I've got one extra golden nugget for this year. I'm going to give you the 2 that I gave last year, and I'll give you one extra one. Golden nugget number 1 from last year. If you don't have your own open houses to do, I know a lot of people like doing the ones in the office. That makes sense. But if you do an office open house, what are the chances you're going to get the listing when you're done? Probably slim to none, right? So before you do those, I want you to call for sale by owners and offer them to do the for sale by owners open houses. They don't want to do them anyway. They don't have signs. And guess what? This is the only open house that you can do where you can both pull buyers, and at the end, you might get a listing. Golden nugget number 2. This is for most of the listing agents out there. Something that I do a lot of is I have a lot of lenders do my open houses for me. Because then they capture all the leads, right? And they just call me and say, this person's qualified, this person isn't qualified, this person might write an offer. It's kind of a neat way to get to double end more deals. And this is my newest golden nugget. I don't know if I talked about this last time, but if anybody has heard me talk before about open houses, what I used to always do is I had a stack of business cards in my left pocket. And when people would come in the door, I would take the business cards out. First thing I would do is introduce myself, and I would immediately ask for their name, and I would start writing that down on the back of the business card. What I do now is I've got my iPhone, okay? And a little bit more towards the middle end of our conversation, once I've established what I'm going to call establishing value, once I've established some type of value that I'm going to be bringing to them, whether it be a buyer or a seller, I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a second. What I do now is I take the iPhone out and I simply start typing in their name. I used to give it to them, but sometimes people are kind of fumble on it. But I just go down, I look down, and we just go through the fields. So name, great. Phone number, great. Email. And then where it says company, what I do is I write the address of the open house that I found them at and all their things that they're looking for. So like I just did one on Beaumont. So it would be Beaumont, buyer, Saratoga, 1.3 to 1.7 million. So then later I can search everything under contacts. And it's great. So Saratoga buyer, boom. 40 contacts come up from the last 2 months of open houses that I've been doing. So I'm going to give you 5 ways to double your business from open house. And most of these are pretty simple. So I just write them down anyway, okay? Number 1, double your price point. What's important is you know that market just as well as you knew the other market. Okay, so that just means what? Touring, daily changes of what's going on, calling people, finding out things, becoming an expert. Okay? Number 2, do twice as many open houses. That's a pretty simple idea too, right? Double your income, just do twice as many. Number 3, do the same open houses twice as long. I do a lot of open houses now where I start at 11 or 12 o'clock, especially in the summertime, and I don't leave till 5, 6, 7 o'clock, okay, until it gets dark. When I get real busy, like I am right now, I do 2 a day. I'll go 10 to 1 on one open house, and 2 to 5 on another open house. Kind of gives me half an hour to take down the intermediate signs that I call them, the ones that are like immediately leading to the house, and then I leave the other ones up on the main streets as billboards all over town so people can see me. Number 5, double your appointments. So before my open house or after my open house, just depending on where it is, I'll use a script like this. So I'll say something like on Beaumont, I'll say, knock, 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 or ding dong, somebody comes to the door. I'll say, hi, my name is Andy with Mateo Real Estate. Just real quick, you probably saw all my signs I had up for the open house over on Beaumont. I had about 40 people through, and it turns out only one person was able to buy it. I've got 39 other people that would like to buy a house here in Saratoga. And I was just wondering if you know of anybody who's thinking about selling a house. So they'll say no, right? And I'll say, well, what about you? Is there any price, and I mean any price you'd ever consider you're selling your concept? And they'll say, well, $3 million, Really, $3 million for your house is $1.5 million? If I got you that, would you sell it? And they'll all say, yeah. And I said, what if I got you like $1,750,000 or $2 million? Would that be good enough? And right then and there is where people will, open up. If they've been thinking about selling, you'll start a conversation. I put together like a list of actives, pendings, and sold, right? And I have a stack of them in my hand here. And here's what I do. This is my door knocking script. I go ding dong, nobody's home, right? I put it under the doormat. The next house, ding dong, nobody's home. Put it under the doormat. Ding dong, somebody comes to the door, I go, real estate update. And that's it. Okay, here's why that works so well. That works so well because if you live in a house and you've ever had somebody ring your doorbell, what's the first thing that you think? Oh, no. What religion are they selling me today, right? That's miserable. Right, so when you do that, and you don't even give them the chance to slam the door in your face, okay? So that's the script for month 1. Month 2 is the exact same. Month 3. Ding dong. Hi, it's Andy again. Real estate update. And that's it. It's that simple. And honestly, once you've gotten to month 3, people recognize you. They're like, oh, I love your real estate updates. How are things going? Blah, 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 blah. And you're in. When you're doing your open houses in general, you need to bring massive value to buyers and sellers. Okay? Basically, in my opinion, only 3 ways you can bring massive value. Number 1, and this is the most important one, you're going to find them property that nobody else has. The way you're going to find them property that nobody else has, you're going to do that door knocking thing that I just told you about. The other way you're going to do it is call expireds or door knock expireds. And it's not that you're calling them or door knocking for the listing, it's just simply, if I had a buyer for your house, would you still sell it? Because I'm doing an open house down the street, or I just did an open house down the street, and 40 people came through, or 40 people are going to come through that all want to live here, and if somebody's looking for a house just like yours, are you still open to selling it? Now you've got a couple of houses, not listings, but you've got a couple of houses that nobody else has, that when you're in the open house, and you're introducing yourself to people, and you're talking to people, and you're asking them, what are you looking for, how big of a house are you looking for, you can tell them, oh, you know what, I've got a house that isn't on the market, that meets that description exactly. Your follow-up with the people from your open house needs to happen the same day. And it should be like a conversation that's something like, hey, this is Andy, we met at the open house. You know what, I was just thinking about you because, yada, yada, yada. Because there's a house that's perfect for you. Because I just ran into a buyer that would love a house just like yours, if a neighbor came in or something like that. The best open houses to do if you don't have your own listings are vacant listings in the middle of town that have been on the market for 3 months. The reason why is the only people that come to those open houses are people that are just now thinking about selling or thinking about buying, okay? So when you go back to your offices, look for vacant open houses that are in the middle of town that have been on forever that the listing agent doesn't want to do anyway.